a roll in the hay? It's fun. Roll, roll in the hay.
In the 1974 classic Young Frankenstein, legendary comedy writer and director Mel Brooks kept the gags coming. All these years later, he's still at it. He talks with our man in Hollywood, Ben Mankiewicz.
Can I want to clear something up? Mm-hmm. I don't get paid for this, do I? No, just curious. Yeah. I'm used to getting paid. Yeah.
For the record, Mel Brooks did not get paid, but he still delivered the comedy, just as he's been doing for nearly a full century, pretty much since day one.
I knew from a very early age, I knew that comedy was my business. Comedy was my thing. It was me, because people would look down at my crib. I was only a few months old, and they would laugh, and I said, that's it. That's it. That's what I want.
When did you know that you were funny, that you could make people laugh?
In school, I guess. You know, my neck still hurts from being taken by the neck to the principal's office because I was terrible. Every time I would do my impression of Boris Karloff, the monster, James Whale's fabulous monster, saying this word as a server at a dinner table. He'd say, "Antiposte." You know, I do the eyes too. I help it, you know, and just "Antiposte," and that was it. And it was so great. The rest of the class would laugh. They didn't know why they were laughing.
We've all been laughing ever since. As a writer and director, Mel has created some of the sharpest and most irreverent comedies of all time.
Throw out your hands, stick out your tush.
Blazing Saddles.
If you're blue and you
later the same year, Young Frankenstein.
Why don't you go where fashion sits?
Plus History of the World Part 1.
The Lord Jehovah has given unto you these 15. Wait. 10 commandments.
And, of course, The Producers, which earned Mel an Oscar for Best Screenplay.
Don't be stupid, be a smarty. Come and join the Nazi party.
The story of a Broadway musical about Adolf Hitler.
Will the dancing Hitlers please wait in the wings? We are only seeing singing Hitlers.
You know, Hitler's made me a very good living, you know. I'm one of the few Jews that has survived Hitler well, you know.
Only Mel Brooks could get away with having this bottle stopper in his home.
Someone sent it to me. I get a lot of Hitler paraphernalia, a lot of Hitler stuff, you know.
Born Melvin Kaminsky in Brooklyn in 1926, Mel is now 93 and as sharp as ever.
You're smarter than you look, but, you know.
Thank you.
And keenly observant.
You could have been a star, but you wear glasses.
So where are we going here, Mel? Going downstairs?
You were going, I want to show you something down.
Comedy is Mel Brooks's life, but his love,
and that's Anne, the miracle worker,
will always be her. Anne Bancroft. To the world, she was one of the great stage and screen actors of her generation, with astounding range.
W-A-T-E-R, water. It has a name.
From The Miracle Worker, which earned her an Oscar as Helen Keller's teacher, Annie Sullivan,
Sit down, Benjamin.
to The Graduate, playing Dustin Hoffman's married seductress, Mrs. Robinson.
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me.
But to Mel, she was his soulmate.
She's always pushed me. She's always been an inspiration. She always thought I was talented. She believed in me right from the beginning as a songwriter as well as a screenplay writer or whatever I wanted to do. She said, you can do it.
On the surface, they presented as a Hollywood odd couple. But the truth is, there was so much in common. Both grew up the children of immigrants, a Jewish boy from Brooklyn, and an Italian girl from the Bronx.
She was Anne Marno for a while. She kept the Italian thing. She was Anna Marie Louise Italiano. Italiano's her real name, man. I think it was Darryl Zanuck gave her a list of people, and she said, I like Bancroft.
And Brooks really liked Bancroft, long before the day they met.
Let's go back to 1961. How'd you meet her?
1961, February 5th.
At a taping of a Perry Como TV special, Anne was rehearsing. Mel, 4 years removed from his long run as a comedy writer for Sid Caesar's TV shows, walked over with a friend to watch.
And she's wearing a white gown, and she has jet black, shiny hair, and the most beautiful eyes and the most beautiful figure. And it was just like, I said, kismet, luck, what? Anyway, I'm in love. I know I'm just struck by her. I'm struck and I'm in love. She finishes the song. It's a rehearsal, so you can talk. And I scream out, Anne Bancroft, I love you. She said, who are you? I said, I'm Mel Brooks. She said, I got your record. You know, I did a record with Carl Reiner, 2,000-year-old man. Said, what are you doing? She said, I have to see somebody at the William Morris Agency. I said, Bernie said, I got to see him too. I went with her. I got a cab. I went, she liked my whistle. Yeah, it's a good whistle.
Then, completely smitten, Mel began to pursue her, rather relentlessly.
Every night, wherever she went, I would show up, you know, by the fourth or fifth time, I'd say, it's kismet. We just seem to be going, you know, she said, you know, both, it's not kismet.
She told her analyst, let's speed this process up. I've met the right man.
Yeah.
Like she knew too.
It was just nobody else. She had everything. She had looks, she had brains, she had purpose.
Mel and Anne married in 1964.
Yeah, there's Max.
Their son, Max, a successful writer himself, he wrote World War Z, grew up in this house.
What do you recall of what your parents were like together?
My answer to that is I need some sort of context. I need to compare it to something else. And it was only later when I got out into the world I realized that most people are not as animated and most people are not as funny.
Right here you see To Be or Not to Be, New York Times. It must have been a good review or it wouldn't be here.
In 1983, they starred together in To Be or Not to Be, which opens with an idea Anne had to sing a duet in another language.
Sweet Georgie Brown.
You know, she learned that song in Polish. Jak się topić, to się topić, sweet Georgie Brown. She learned it, she taught it to me, she drilled it. She drilled me every day until I could actually do it in Polish with her.
Oh, I didn't even notice you got her in parentheses up there.
Yeah,
in the poster.
I still have her in parentheses. But she began to like it.
Anne was with him during Blazing Saddles, Mel's bold comedy about a black sheriff in a racist Western town.
You think Blazing Saddles would succeed today? Could it get made today?
I don't know. I don't think so because I went too far with the use of the N-word, with cowboys sitting around a camp farting. The movie's outrageous. And a lot of people, you can't blame them for saying, never should be made, terrible. But that's what I do. I make the things that nobody else would make.
What does that tell you about the state of comedy today?
Well, for me, they're a little too strict about, what's in bad taste and what's in good taste. And I think MF, the MF word, it's purposeful. It has grit. It has truth and grit. And you can't shower people with truth and grit if you're going to be careful about stepping out of the lines. You got to step outside the lines. And I think that the political correctness is too, I'm sorry to say it, is too politically correct. She made some very good pictures with some very good directors. This one is Mezza Mezza.
Mel continues to write and perform.
But he's always thinking back to his wife.
Here she is, making some money doing actually a beer commercial. It was not a good beer.
They were inseparable for 41 years until Anne died of cancer in 2005. She was 73.
I think my dad is at a time in his life when he's looking back on all he has achieved. And it's no small truth that much of his achievements are because of my mother. My father's the first one to tell you that she saved him.
Can you see it?
14 years after her death, Mel wants Anne's legacy celebrated, and he wants it seen.
I just thought, before I die, I'd like to see a couple of her movies put together in a box set. There's a lot of great stuff here. If you get it in advance, you can get it for $59. When it hits the streets in a couple of months, it's $80. You want to save a couple of bucks and see the greatest performance from the greatest actress ever? $59, Amazon.
A pitch for 8 Anne Bancroft movies from the funny man who knew her best.
She could be the leading lady or an aide-de-camp. She could help people quietly on their side, pushing them. She could just be on stage with the spotlight and star in something. She was a great gift. She was a gift from God.
If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits?
Young Frankenstein is just one of the films that made Mel Brooks a comedy legend. Now at age 99, Brooks is the subject of a new documentary directed by one of his biggest fans, Judd Apatow, who's talking with Tracy Smith.
I'm very honored to be asked to present the award for Best Director, because I'm pretty sure that means the Globes people think I'm also one of the best directors.
At the Golden Globes last week, Judd Apatow cracked up the room, but he's more at home behind the camera.
You won't look good after this, man.
Thanks, man.
Apatow has helped create some of the more memorable moments on film.
Oh, you! None of these journals are the same.
He's also made documentaries about some of his idols, like Gary Shandling and George Carlin.
This is your home. You have a giant Buddha.
But his latest subject hardly needs an introduction.
A house needs a Buddha. That's
Every house needs a Buddha. How'd this get decorated? Who picked this?
My late great wife, Anne Bancroft. She had good taste in everything except husbands.
Why'd you decide to do one on Mel?
Well, Mel is the reason why most of us went into comedy. You know, when I was a kid, I was born in 1967, and all these Mel Brooks movies came out while I was a little kid and trying to figure out what the world meant and who I was. And here was this hilarious, tiny Jewish man who was really loud and brash and confident and seemed like the coolest guy in the world. And I think me and a lot of people thought, oh, that's the job you would want. You would want to be Mel Brooks.
Mel, why did you become a comedian?
Sex.
I see.
Mel Brooks, the 99-year-old man, streams this week on HBO Max. Co-directed by Michael Bonfiglio, it's the surprisingly personal origin story of a comedy legend. A Brooklyn kid raised by a single mom whose 4 sons went off to war.
I was sent from a provincial tenement in Brooklyn to France, 1104th Engineer Combat Battalion.
And the Germans had just left France?
Yeah.
And so your job was to make sure they didn't leave behind booby traps? And
right. 45-degree angle with your bayonet, go through the soil, find, tink, uh-oh.
And I said to him, you know, did you ever think that you were gonna die? And he goes, only every second of every day. Oh my goodness.
Mel Brooks came home from the war, but he never really stopped fighting the Nazis.
Springtime for Hitler and Germany.
Why do you think Hitler was a frequent target for him?
The fear that it was going to happen again. And then if you don't keep pointing out how horrifying this is, then it can, you know, slowly bubble back up, which is something we see right now.
And Mel was the one always pointing the finger. So.
Yeah.
Hey, boys, look what I got here. Hey, where are the white women at?
And he was equally fearless against racism. His 1974 film, Blazing Saddles, is the story of a black sheriff in a racist town. Critics were divided over the raunchy comedy, but it was a monster hit with moviegoers.
Yes? Pardon me, boy. Is this the Transylvania station?
Yeah, Truck 29.
And just a few months later, he came out with this.
Walk this way. This way.
We all know that there are all these great movies that he's done, but 2 of them came out in the same year.
Yeah.
Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein?
Mm-hmm.
What did that do for Mel Brooks' status?
He just became Beyonce for a little while. I mean, he was a real sensation, and it was kind of shocking, right? To 2 of the best comedies of all time come out in the same year. And we didn't talk about this in the documentary, but there was some sense that Blazing Saddles was so daring that maybe he made sure to make another movie So if they really turned on him with the Blazing Saddles, they already had another one to show him.
I am not an animal!
It wasn't all just for laughs. Mel Brooks also produced dramas like The Elephant Man, but he did it quietly.
He didn't put his name on it.
He thought it was a distraction, and you would think the movie was silly because his name was on it. But yet it said Brooks Films, so I think people figured it out. I think he should put his name on there.
What has kept you alive for 2,000 years? An enormous fear of death.
No history of Mel Brooks' life would be complete without a mention of his best friend, the comedy giant, Carl Reiner.
It's one of the great friendships of all time because they were friends for, 70 years, maybe more. And, some people are just magic together. They just fit. And they adored each other more than I've ever seen two people adore and respect each other. And I asked him, what is the core of this? And he said, he's my father.
Carl was only 4 years older, but Mel looked up to him. And later in life, as widowers, they leaned on one another. Anne Bancroft died in 2005. Estelle Reiner in 2008.
How do you think he went on after Anne died?
I think it was very, very hard. He famously would go eat dinner and watch a movie with Carl Reiner at Carl Reiner's house, and did that for many, many years. And they supported each other, and that's how both of them got through it. And then after Carl died, Mel would go to Carl's house alone and eat dinner and watch a movie. And I asked him why, and he said, because it feels like he's there in some way.
I want everything I've ever seen in the movies.
Leo, say you'll join me!
I'll do it! My God, I'll do it!
Mel Brooks, who will turn 100 in June, has 2 Oscars, 4 Emmys, and the Broadway version of his hit movie, The Producers, has 12 Tonys, a record that still stands today. He also won 3 Grammys, so that gives him rare EGOT status as the winner of an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony.
High anxiety.
What's more, he's lived long enough to see how his work endures in his films and in the countless comedians he inspired.
What did he say when you asked him about his legacy?
He said he thought he was put on this earth to make people laugh, and he did that.
What do you think Mel Brooks' legacy is?
The main one is probably the funniest person of all time and creator of some of the best films of all time, one of the great Broadway musicals of all time, who had the courage to make comedy both about unimportant things and the most important things, and he did it longer than anybody.
Is this where you and Gilda lived most of the time when you were married?
In the dining room?
In fact, when Gene Wilder and Gilda Radner were married, this 1734 Connecticut farmhouse was just their part-time home. But after her death in 1989...
I came to bury Gilda just 3 miles from here in a non-sectarian cemetery. And that's when I decided I wanted to live here for the rest of my life.
And what a life it has been.
You filthy beast! I'll kill you!
I've got to look normal. We've all of us got to behave normally.
Feeling fine! Feeling real fine!
At 71, Wilder has appeared in some 24 movies, creating a host of memorable characters.
Listen, Bart, I want you to do me a favor.
My blanket! My blue blanket! Give me my blue blanket!
Wilder grew up in Milwaukee, where his dad made novelty items and his mom was his best audience.
So
she liked it when you
She liked it when I made her laugh. And then when I started acting, she always thought that I was good, and that gave me the confidence to go on.
He studied drama at the University of Iowa, as well as in London, did time in the military, and in 1961 was accepted at the prestigious Actors Studio in New York, where he became Gene Wilder. You were born Jerry Silverman.
Yes. I didn't want to be introduced as Jerry Silberman. I couldn't see Jerry Silberman in Hamlet, in Macbeth. I said, it doesn't sound right.
Maybe the name was the charm. He started getting work early on, and before long was in a play with an actress named Anne Bancroft, who introduced him to her boyfriend, a comedy writer named Mel Brooks, who asked Wilder to read his new screenplay called Springtime for Hitler, which would one day become The Producers.
And then he said to me, would you like to play this part of Leo Bloom? And I said, yes.
But it was 3 years before Wilder would hear from Brooks again. In the meantime, Wilder did more plays.
I'm Eugene Grizzard.
And drew critical acclaim for his first small film role as a kidnapped victim in Bonnie and Clyde. Finally, Brooks came to visit Wilder back in New York.
And he said, I love you and I want you to do the part of Leo Bloom, but Zero has approval. So would you come in tomorrow and read the part with Zero? I knocked on the door at 10:30 in the morning. Mel answered, and there was Zero Mostel in the background. And Mel said, come on in. Gene, this is Z. This is Gene. I put out my hand to shake hands with Zero, and he took my hand, he pulled me up to his chest, and he kissed me on the lips.
It was an experience he drew on to work himself into a fever pitch while filming the famous scene when Mostel, playing a corrupt Broadway producer, convinces Wilder, playing a mild-mannered accountant, to engage in a scam.
I'm wet! I'm hysterical and I'm wet!
I kept remembering, as an ammunition to feed me, that day when he pulled me up and started kissing me. And maybe he wants to kiss me again, and God knows what else he wants to do to me.
Whatever the motivation, Wilder's performance earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. And the film has become a comic classic. But
oops.
When it came out, was The Producers a big hit?
Flop.
A flop. He went on to make Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, playing the mysterious and unpredictable candy maker.
What's the matter? Too hot, Mr. Wonka?
Too cold.
That movie is now considered a children's classic. Yeah. Was that a big hit when it came out?
No. Failure. Poor Gene.
But don't pity Gene. His career has stood the test of time, recounted in his new memoir, Kiss Me Like a Stranger. Folks lined up to get copies a few weeks ago at a program for the Smithsonian Institution in Washington. In fact, the way this story you're watching got started was that I was invited to interview him there. And it was fun to see the crowd respond as when Wilder explained his philosophy of comedy.
Doing something funny realistically is going to be much funnier than if you told a silly joke.
Case in point, Wilder says, a scene from Young Frankenstein, written by him and his old pal Mel Brooks, and co-starring Terry Garr.
What knockers?
Oh, thank you, Doctor.
A comedian might say, what knockers? You woo, woo, woo! It wouldn't be funny.
And by the way, Young Frankenstein was a hit. Brooks and Wilder got an Academy Award nomination for Best Screenplay. Also hits, the movies that Wilder did with Richard Pryor, including Stir Crazy. Wilder says in the key scene, where they realize they're going to spend 30 years in prison, director Sidney Poitier gave them total freedom.
He's sick. He's having a fit. See, he don't have his fit pills. He's got them. Where's your fit?
I want you two guys to fly.
Just do your own thing, basically.
Whatever you're going to do, however crazy, fly. I've got 3 cameras going, so you don't have to watch your marks. I mean, don't run out of the building, but I just want you guys to do what you do best. And we did fly.
But it was another on-screen partnership that changed his life off-screen. 3 films with Gilda Radner, including Woman in Red. which Wilder wrote and directed. Radner played his co-worker, who was furious at being stood up repeatedly. They wed in 1984. It was his third marriage and her second. It was a turbulent relationship. You write that you didn't get along well, and that's a fact, but you loved each other, and that's a fact. Mm-hmm. So what was it? What were the good things? What was it?
Humor, the humor. She could make me laugh, and I could sometimes make her laugh. I'm not that good at it off camera, but I could make her laugh, and that was good. And when she got desperately ill, I never thought she was going to die from it. Never. I was divinely stupid because everyone else seemed to know, but I thought she'd pull through.
Just because she had so much heart?
Yeah, she was getting all this treatment, and I said, "You're going to lick it," and I believed that she would. And it wasn't until 3 weeks before she died that I realized that she was going to die.
After Radner's death from ovarian cancer, Wilder threw himself into trying to raise awareness about the disease.
These tests aren't foolproof, but they're the best hope we have for early detection of ovarian cancer. Please don't be afraid. Just do it.
In 1991, he married again, Karen Webb, whom he'd met while researching a film.
I found it's not just love, it's love that you know is going to last for the rest of your life.
But within a few years, Gene Wilder himself was diagnosed with cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Did you think, okay, this is it, it's over?
No, I didn't think that. I thought either I would be scared to death if I was told that I had cancer, or I would take it very well because of the experience I had with Gilda. And I took it very well. I wasn't afraid.
After intensive chemotherapy and a stem cell transplant using his own blood cells, Wilder is cancer-free. He even feels well enough to do a bit of tap dancing with his wife. It may not quite compare to the classic cinematic moment from Young Frankenstein when he danced with the monster played by Peter Boyle, but these days, Gene Wilder is a very content man.
I've had a wonderful life, a charmed life, a great career, and I'm in love with my wife. So whatever happens, happens.
I hope you feel the same way.
Wilder says he would do another film if he got a script he liked. But if not, he's happy with the treasury of great characters he's already created.
My name, it's pronounced Frankenstein.
So what is 93? The day, I know what it is, a number. And the number's scary because I read the first thing in the morning before I have coffee, I read the obits.
Seriously?
Yes, if I'm not in it, I'll have breakfast. No,
At nearly 93, Carl Reiner is in the kind of shape people half his age might envy.
All the vital signs are perfect. I could live another hour.
He only sounds like he's on borrowed time.
The truth is, though, you're still productive. You're still writing.
Yes, yes.
I mean, it's not like you're waiting around.
No, I wake up every morning anxious to get to my, what do you call it? We used to call it a typewriter, my computer.
By any name, that keyboard is busy. Reiner's just finished the 4th volume of his memoirs. Clearly, the 12-time Emmy winner has a lot to look back on.
Welcome, America, and hi there, everybody. Once again, we present This Is Your Story. As you know, each week,
Carl Reiner didn't create TV, but let's just say he was in the delivery room.
Professor, I'd like to register a protest. This is preposterous. You can't fire us all.
I like you. I like you because you got spunk there, kid. You're real spunky.
As a writer and performer, he was a giant among giants. His co-writers on Sid Caesar's shows alone included Larry Gelbart, creator of the TV show MASH, comic genius Mel Brooks, and playwright Neil Simon.
Back in the early days of television, and we should mention, you were on TV before you owned a TV?
Yes, we didn't have a TV when I did the Show of Shows, and we finally got a little 7-inch set, and the kids used to watch it. And Robbie was 4 or 5 or 6, and he said, "Say hello to me," and I said, "I can't say hello on television, but when I do this, when I put my tie up in the finale, you'll know when we're all saying goodbye. That's for you."
Every night you would do this,
Yes.
and that meant good night,
yeah, right.
Robbie.
Yeah.
How sweet is that?
Yeah, very.
But after years of writing sketch comedy, Reiner had an idea for a show of his own. A sitcom about a New York City comedy writer, like him, who lived in the suburbs with an adorable family, like his.
Your son dislikes you.
What are you saying? How can he dislike me? I'm his father.
Some children have been known to hate their fathers.
He's only 6 years old. He doesn't know me long enough to hate me.
Head of the family, it was okay, just okay. It didn't work.
The pilot flopped, but Reiner had written 13 full episodes, and producer Sheldon Leonard thought of a way he could make it all work. You might remember Sheldon Leonard from It's a Wonderful Life as the bartender who tells it straight.
Hey, look, I'm the boss. You want a drink or don't you?
He says, "We'd love to talk to you about these episodes." I said, "Fellas," I said, "I don't want to fail with it the second time."
You didn't want to do it?
No, he said, "Sheldon, it's a good impression." He says, "You won't fail. We'll get a better actor to play you." And he suggested Dick Van Dyke.
The show, which ran for 5 seasons on CBS, was a major hit.
It was an accident.
An accident? So was Custer's last stand. You want a scalp to hang on your belt?
Reiner wound up playing the pompous boss, Alan Brady, but the rest of the show mirrored his life. In fact, Mary Tyler Moore's Laura Petrie was inspired by the real-life woman Reiner went home to every night.
What is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? What is it?
As a young GI during World War II, he'd met Estelle Laboste, an artist 8 years his senior.
I had a lot of hair in those days, black hair,
Wavy.
hair.
We sat down with them in 2007.
No, he was really good looking, but typical. I said tall, dark, and handsome.
When you looked at her, what did you think?
Nice figure. Of course, I was 20.
They married in 1943 and had 3 children, Robbie, Annie, and Lucas.
It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing.
For a showbiz family, the Reiners were pretty normal. Robbie, the future director, had a pretty good arm. So did Mom. And in the summer, they'd all hit the beach, sometimes with longtime family friend Mel Brooks.
How often do you guys see each other now?
At least 6, 7 times a week. He sits right there. We watch television.
Many, many hundreds of years ago, most men had more than one wife.
Yeah.
Did you practice polygamy in those days?
I never practiced it. I was perfect at it.
But there's nothing on TV like this anymore. The 2,000-year-old man was an impromptu sketch gone wild, with Reiner interviewing Brooks as the oldest man in the world.
What was it like to have 7 wives?
Terrible. It was absolutely the worst thing that ever happened to me.
Why?
I used to come home from work and I'd open the door and I'd hear, "You're late for supper, 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 supper."
As ranking old-timer, I gotta say, I just can't do it. At my age, I think I earned the right to be selfish.
Reiner himself was the oldest man in the star-packed Ocean's 11 gang. But his biggest box office hits were behind the camera.
And action.
As director of comedies like The Jerk and Oh God, starring George Burns.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
So help me. So help you? If it pleases the court, and even if it doesn't please the court, I'm God, Your Honor.
You clearly are a guy who likes to make people happy. Is that a tough trait to have when you're a director?
No, as a matter of fact, it's a wonderful trait to have. You can get the best out of people if they're happy and not worried or not frightened that they're going to make a mistake. Robbie, does exactly the same. But don't demand anything of anybody. You hire actors who you think are going to be right for the part, and then you let them go.
Yes! 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 Yes!
Maybe that's why Rob Reiner cast his mom Estelle for a small but climactic moment.
Oh, God.
I'll have what she's having.
It had to be you.
But what really got Estelle Reiner excited was singing. And as Carl wrote in his memoir, it was something his wife loved until the day she died in 2008.
Why did you decide to write about the last moments of her life?
Because it was so beautiful. Estelle died in 94, when she was 94, and the last year of her life was lying in bed. It was she always thought she was going to go back and sing, and she couldn't really get out of bed. She had major problems, but
she was here.
Her mind was always there, and at the last moment, she wasn't even breathing. A breath every minute, a little something, and we touched her with nothing. You know, I said, let her. She should go out hearing something lovely, like her last album, you know. So I put on, and the first song is "Hey, You're Adorable," and that was playing. I said, play it up loud.
A, you're adorable. B, you're so beautiful. C, you're a cutie full of charm.
Maybe she'll hear it as she's going. And we played it loud. And one of the hospice nurses says, oh, she has such a lovely, sweet voice. And Lucas, my son, went right up to his mother. He said, Ma, you hear what she said? She says, you have a lovely, sweet voice. And Estelle said, and passed away. Didn't aspirate it, but her lips, we all saw it. Then gone. I had to write about that because it was a good way to go, a good way to go. Once I built a railroad to the sun with brick and ribbon and lime.
And music still keeps him going. Reiner sings on his daily walks, and at one point even considered a career as a crooner.
I was 6 years old. I said, I want to be an Irish tenor, I told my father. And he said, you can be a Jewish tenor, but he's and sing Irish songs.
We're thankful Carl Reiner chose to make us laugh instead.
Down the road that leads back to that tumble-down shack, to that tumble-down shack in Athlone. Now we got it. Use any part of it.
Two legends of comedy are in conversation this morning with our man in Hollywood, Ben Mankiewicz.
This is Nate and Al's Delicatessen in Beverly Hills, closed this week after serving showbiz folk like Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner for 75 years.
It's also just a few blocks away from where Mel Brooks hosts his weekly lunch. That is suspended for now, as are millions of other meaningful social gatherings for millions of Americans. It also means if you want to talk to Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner, it's going to be a cyber chat. That's where the two old friends got together to talk about World War II, the Depression, the notion of sacrifice, and of course, to give each other the business.
Let the bickering begin.
Carl, stop talking for 1 minute.
Okay.
A real-life comedy routine.
Wow, I can't believe it. Stop talking.
From two best friends.
I think the only way to get through this crisis is to sing a World War II song. And that song is, we did it before and we can do it again.
We can do it again.
Yeah.
I'd rather sing Recitar mentre preso dal delirio non conto specifico e quel che faccio e cuore giova.
Can't close it. You open Carl up, there's no closing.
Oh, that's great.
Truth is, the Mel and Carl show hasn't closed since they met as TV joke writers in the 1950s.
I didn't know who he was. I came to work for the show of shows that Sid Seats a straight man, and there's this little guy in the room.
Call it laugh at first sight.
I don't know who he was, and he's impersonating a Jewish pirate, and I'll never forget those first words. He says, you know how hard it is to set sail these days? You know what they're charging for sailcloth? $1.37 a yard.
Now 98, Carl is still Mel's straight man. And Mel, only 93, continues to be, well, Mel.
How are you coping?
I am not watching the news, and I'm telling everybody, watch old black and white movies. By the way, I have a great suggestion. It's called Young Frankenstein.
Penny for your thoughts.
It'll do you a little good, and it'll do me a lot of good.
Showbiz has been good to both of them. Their resumes are Hollywood comedy history.
Hi there, remember me? Hi.
Including The Dick Van Dyke Show for Carl and Blazing Saddles for Mel.
Well, that's the end of this suit.
Hi, I'm Max Brooks.
Max Brooks is Mel's son, also a historian and the author of Devolution.
Is it difficult for him not to see his friends? If anybody needs to see friends, I think it's Mel Brooks.
I think there's probably no one in America right now that is finding it more difficult to socially distance than my dad.
Hi, Dad.
He thrives on crowds. He thrives on friends. For him to have to sit home behind glass is brutally hard on him right now, but he is doing what he has to do because he understands that.
Americans of Mel and Carl's generation understand struggle and sacrifice. They both grew up during the Depression and served their country in World War II.
Is there a message to give to other generations from you guys about this sense that we can get through this? We have done this before?
Well, we've done it before. There was a guy named Hitler that was still around, and he's not.
If we got through Hitler, we can get through this stuff. This is a breeze. We just have to grin and bear it.
I think that the greatest generation's message to all of us is that in times of crisis, everyone has a part to play. You cannot just live your life for you. You are part of a whole. You're part of a community, and you must do your part.
Of course, doing your part during a crisis is all relative, easier for some than others.
Welcome. Live long and prosper.
George Takei, the Star Trek actor, talking to us through a glass door at his home. A Japanese-American born in Los Angeles, his life changed months after Pearl Harbor, when armed American soldiers came to the Takei home and took the family away.
I was 5 years old at the time. We were seen as the enemy. We were put on a crowded train and transported 2/3 of the way across the country to the swamps of Arkansas to a barbed wire internment camp. Soldiers with machine guns pointed at us.
When you hear the Chinese virus, the Wuhan virus.
Oh, it gets my blood boiling. It is a threat to us. A Chinese-American woman in a New York subway was yelled at and chased and assaulted. And then in San Francisco, a woman was yelled at and spat at. It is so important to have wise leadership that knows history. I'm keeping my social distance, but sending you all the good wishes of Star Trek.
Jeopardy, we like watching Jeopardy.
Mel and Carl aren't watching Star Trek. No offense, George. They're sticking to classic movies and game shows.
Yeah, we turn on Jeopardy at the same time, and we turn on Wheel of Fortune.
Being apart and staying together, and a little advice to the country's leaders.
Don't scare us, you know. I don't mean to soft pedal anything, but try to persuade us with your reason, with your logic. Tell us how to get through it, and show us by example how much you care about this country and how much you care about who's in it.
Mel, you started to sing that song. Can I ask you to sing that song again?
We did it before and
we can do it again, and we will do it again. We'll knock them over and then we'll get the guy in back of them. We did it before, we'll do it again.